Hey everyone, what is up? And welcome back for episode 60 of Higurashi When They Cry. This will be the fifth episode of chapter 7, I think. And the last episode it was a pretty big one. Things start to finally come crashing down. Um, I mean, you can summarize it pretty quick. There was a lot going on in that episode, but the summary is fairly quick. So basically, Tepe came back. Uh, and it kind of ruins everything. Rika thought she had her perfect world line, um, until we find out Tepe is back. And this is obviously a problem because it means everything going on with Satoko is going to happen again, right? Satoko is going to be, and she is, taken back by Tepe, and she instantly reverts to her old self and is being abused, right? And I mean, it's as ever, it's hard to see, but we know how people respond to this, and that's going to create a problem in this timeline for Rika, right? It might cause someone to kill, and it'll kind of ruin everything. So she approaches Irie and Takano, trying to desperately get them to find some way to deal with this, and she tries to get them to just kill Tepe, which is kind of crazy that she tried to become the very force that she was trying to stop. Right, she was trying to stop anyone else from dirtying their hands, but she was cool with doing it herself. Um, but it also, I think it kind of really speaks a lot to her mental state, right, and how much she's given up. That she's like, screw it, like I am going to I'm going to request that this person is eliminated if it gets me to where I need to be, right? Irie agrees, but things don't work out because they find out that Takano finds out rather that Tepe's being very closely watched by the police for potential involvement with the Sonozaki situation, and marked as a potential target for a Watanagashi killing. And because of that, they're like, we can't do anything to him for months, and so Satoko's just gonna have to endure, I guess. And this kind of breaks Rika, to the extent that she's literally like, she kind of reveals everything without really even meaning to. She's like, I'm doomed to die again. Takano, screw it. Go burn in the mountains. I don't care anymore. Irie, go eat your sleeping pills and commit suicide. I do not care anymore. Right? Like, I've been here repeatedly, right? Like, it's gonna happen again, and here we are, right? And she's just fed up with, like, she had hope and she lost it all in that moment. Um, and we get to the school, and Rika ends up telling the teacher about what's going on, and all of the Hinamizawa friends, they hear it, and they take this very poorly, but especially Shion. Now, Shion has taken that role of Chapter 3 Keiichi, where it's like, we're not doing anything. We got to do something. I'm going to kill him. It'll only take me 1,500 seconds to go kill him. Right? But she's stopped by Rena, who basically is like, you're going to regret it. Right? Like, I could do it faster than you could. Right? Like, you say you can do it in 1,500. I could do it in 1,000. Right? But it's just not the solution. And she's still really not hearing it. And it's Keiichi kind of comes up, and a big part of his argument is like, we'll find out a way to do this, but if you do this by killing, we're never going to get back the life that we want. And that's what you really want. It's not that you want Tepe dead. It's that you want what he's causing, the shift he has caused, you want it gone, right? And while getting rid of Tepe is, in theory, the easiest way to get rid of his impact, right, it will have long-term impacts, right? And he knows this, whether it's he literally remembers this or he's just very wise in this moment and realizes this. I don't know. But either way, he realizes that you're not going to get back the life that you want if you just take a rash solution like that. And so they need to come together as a group to find something. And there's maybe a little hope that something will happen. Maybe. Ultimately, it's the slaughter chapter, and we have seen no slaughtering, none. So I'm sure shit's gonna hit the fan here soon. Um, and I don't know how. We'll see what exactly happens, right? Who is doing the slaughtering? I don't know. But Rika has still lost all of her hope. So I almost wonder if this is. I almost wonder if Rika's going to be the one that snaps this chapter. That'd be kind of crazy if it's Rika or like Hanyu or something like that. That would be crazy to see. But let's just go ahead and continue on, and we'll see exactly what happens. I'm looking forward to seeing where we go from here. It's been pretty interesting. No, I don't want the Discord overlay while I'm playing, bro. Alright, let's just go ahead and jump right into subchapter 6. Holy smokes, my brother's being loud right now. I hope you guys can't hear him. What happened? Did Shion do it? Mion called me in the middle of the night. The social worker went to Satoko's house tonight after getting a call from the school. They had a talk with Satoko and her uncle. Oh, no, okay. It's like refusing any acknowledgement of abuse. He told them that Satoko didn't go to school today because of a cold. He also claimed that he didn't call the school because he didn't have the number. He explained that he spoke with Chie-sensei politely, and that she just misunderstood his behavior. Right. Satoko didn't really talk, but she never denied what her uncle was saying.
で、Satokoも一緒に虐待なんかありません。助けなんか必要ありませんって答えたわけか。
Yeah, we've seen this song and dance too many times. Well, one time is too many times, right? We've only seen it once, but that's too many times.
サトコはサトシがいなくなったのは自分に耐える力がなくて兄に甘えすぎたせいだとずっと後悔していた。だから
誰の助けも借りずに耐え忍ぶことが1年前の自分への罪滅ぼしになるなんて思ってるってのか。クソバカが。
保護司の人の所見では少なくともサトコに目立つ外傷は見当たらなかったから緊急性の高い虐待を受けているようには見えなかったって。聞き取りの結果衣食は与えられてるようだし寝る場所もあったし。
そんなのは当たり前じゃねえか。衣食も寝る場所もなくならないと虐待とは呼ばれないってのかよ。
まあそういうことらしいね。そういうケースではそもそも面会も拒否されるらしいから面会できた時点で相談所は緊急性がないと判断したみたい。
Basically, he played his hand well.
シオンのやつがっくり来てただろう。
I don't think disappointed is the word I'd use. I'm sure she's fuming. That's probably a better word.
サトコがサトシに義理立てして助けを求めないようにシオンもサトシに義理立てしてサトコを救おうと躍起になっているとこがあるから短期を起こそうって気はとりあえずなくなったみたいだけど。
No, calm before the storm, maybe.
がっくりしてるよ。
今この場で愚痴っても仕方ねえがサトシは本当にどこに行っちまったんだよ。
I would love the answer to this.
妹の危機だってのにどこに行っちまったんだ。
わからないとしか言えないよ。
そうだな。
He did.
すまん。サトシが帰ってきてくれればサトシが解決してくれるだろうなんて。それこそシオンの言う通り。
I want to believe that Satoshi's somehow kicking out there. It would be one of those things where it's like, I feel like the absolute perfect ideal ending for Higurashi. Somehow Satoshi comes back and somehow Hanyu gets to live with everyone, right? Maybe just whether she's visible or gets a body of her own, right? But those things are like, there's no way. There's no way Satoshi is coming back in particular, right? I think it's more likely that Hanyu somehow gets to live on with everyone, right? Although I wouldn't be surprised if she, like vanishes or something, right? For part of the ending. But point is, I think it's more likely that she comes back right now, like, or stays than Satoshi returning.
他力本願の極みだぜ。誰かが助けに来てくれるのを期待するんじゃない。
Yeah.
助けるんだ。俺たちが。
そうだね。私たちにできる努力をしないといけないよ。
The problem is, what can you do?
しかし、園崎家もさすがだな。今日訪問したばかりの保護司の見解をその晩にはもうキャッチしてるってんだからさ。児童相談所の中にスパイがいるとしか思えないな。
まあまあ、そこは国家機密ということで。
ってことは、その人は児童相談所の内部、もしくは相当詳しい人なんだろ。
They've certainly got connections, never any denying that.
その人は今回の件どうするのがベストだとか助言はくれなかったか？
熱くならずにしばらく様子を見てみようって言われちゃったよ。
Yeah, just wait and see. Great.
なんだよそりゃ。ミオ、お前サトコがどういう状況か話したんだろ？おじに監禁されていじめられてて学校にも通わせてもらえないのがどうして様子見なんだよ。
ケイちゃん、これは私が言ったんじゃないからね。その人が私に言ったことをそのまま言うんだから誤解しないでね。確かにサトコが今日登校しなかったのは事実だけど、でも一日だよ。
Yeah. I say, it's not even like she's missed several days, right? She's missed one.
1週間や1ヶ月というならともかく、1日じゃ本当に風邪の可能性も否めないよ。
でも虐待されてるんだぞ。サトコの体や心に消せない傷が残るまで放置しろってのかよ。
待ってケイちゃん、そこなんだよ。私たちは去年のサトコがどういう状況にあったかよく知ってるから危機感を持ってるけど、実際昨日今日でサトコは何の虐待も受けてない。客観的に見て現時点でサトコが虐待を受けているとはとても言えないんだよ。
You just have a very strong suspicion that she has been, or will be.
確かに殴られて青あざがあるとかそういうのはまだないかもしれないけど、時間の問題だろう。
In all fairness, you can't really expect. We know the kind of person Tepe is because of Chapter 3, but without context, I don't think it's wrong to say that you can't know that factually, right?
それにリカちゃんと二人で暮らしてるのを無理に家に連れ戻したのだって虐待とは言えないのかよ。
Not really.
それは昨日私たちで話した時に出た通りだよ。親権者が子供を保護すること自体は自然だからさ、客観的に見てサトコが虐待を受けているとは言えないんだよ。
Like, I'm not saying Keiichi's wrong to feel the way that he does, and we know ultimately he's probably much closer to correct feeling that way. But Mion, like, everything she's saying is very logically sound. It makes a lot of sense, right? Like, from the perspective of a social worker, right? Like, it's only been a day. We haven't seen any obvious signs, right? Like, it's totally fair for a legal guardian to take the kid into their custody, right? You know?
虐待が起こる前に食い止めなきゃしょうがねえじゃねえかよってミオンに怒鳴ることじゃねえな。すまん。
I knew that wasn't Mion's opinion, but it felt like she was telling me that, and I raised my voice. When I sensed her dismay, I quickly apologized, which is a big difference between him and Chapter 3 Keiichi.
私も去年のサトコがどういう仕打ちを受けていたかよく説明したんだけど、去年の通報も様子見で解決してるわけだしね。
Yeah, that's one way to put it. It was resolved by waiting it out because one of the abusers got murdered, and then the other one skipped town. I don't think that's like great prior context, if you ask me.
去年の虐待を解決したのは4年目のたたりだろ。
Yeah.
別に相談所が解決したわけじゃねえけどな。
でもとにかく去年の件を含めても相談所はそのくらいの危機感しか持ってないってこと。私たちと相談所の温度差がどうも敵みたいなんだよ。
わかった。とにかく最初の手は打ったもんな。次の手はすぐに考えようぜ。明日は全員で会議しよう。俺たちは最強の部活メンバーだぞ。今までもっと条件の悪い戦いを遊びのようにくぐってきたさ。
Bro, have you gone?
俺たちは絶対にサトコを救い出す。
I don't know that I'd say you've been through worse than this, at least in this timeline, but I love the determination. As we spoke, I felt less angry about the decision that the Child Consultation Center made. It was something we expected anyway. I was being emotional for a while, but Mion wasn't taking it personally. She's usually a tough person, but I know that she feels very weak when something like this happens. I have to be careful to not get too emotional with her. Our enemy was Tepe. I couldn't yell at my friends just because I was frustrated. I almost forget sometimes, but Mion is a girl. There's no way yelling at her without cause wouldn't hurt her. Well, I mean, I'm not entirely with that part of it, like because she's a girl part of it, but you know, I think I have a tendency to lash out with my emotions sometimes. You know, I feel like there are also a lot of dudes that don't appreciate being yelled at for no reason. I'm just saying. But I get his point. I definitely need to rein in that bad habit, especially during emergencies like this. You know, I mean, we've seen him unable to rein in that bad habit before, you know? Obviously in Chapter 3. All I could do by myself was probably the same thing Shion was suggesting earlier, but I knew it wouldn't make Satoko happy. The club members are fearless, but the power I possess is the smallest among all of us. That's why I needed to communicate with them. If we united, we'd be able to come up with a better plan. I couldn't think of a plan all by myself. 3 heads are better than 1. We would definitely figure something out.
じゃあ、私はこれからリカちゃんに電話するよ。ケイちゃんはレナに電話してくれないかな。
おう、レナか。今日のあいつ、シオンと堂々やり合ってたな。それに、いいことも言ってたぜ。土壇場で骨のあるやつだよな。
Yeah, she is. She really is.
うん。レナは昔からここ一番では絶対に曲げないんだよ。
No doubt.
でも、いいことならケイちゃんも言ってたよ。
Keiichi's ultimately the one that impressed me the most, but Rena, like, started it, right? She's the one who really started to fight back.
ちょっとかっこよかったかもだね。
今更だが、ちょいと照れることを言っちまったように思うな。なんだか恥ずかしいぜ。
じゃあこれで切るね。
Keiichi is often very corny, but it works.
レナもきっと連絡を待ってると思う。申し訳ないけどよろしく頼むね。
おう、リカちゃんの方にもよろしくな。誰もが辛いが、多分リカちゃんはもっともっと辛いと思う。
It's not even close. You don't realize, even seeing this, that Rika-chan was looking at the ground with a depressed look on her face all day. Even seeing that, you don't realize how much this situation has truly ripped all hope out of her, right? Because obviously they don't understand that Rika's been through this so many times before, and she thought she found the perfect world, and then this happens. My chest hurt just remembering it. It must be even more painful to look at Satoko. Mion hung up the phone. I also hung up, then called Rena. She picked up the phone after one ring, which surprised me. Well, Mion said she'd probably be waiting.
お前、受話器の前でずっと待ってただろ。
うん、なかなか連絡がないし、みーちゃんのところにかけても話し中だしで困ってたんだよ。
その話中は多分俺と電話をしてたからだろう。ミオンは今はリカちゃんに電話してくれてる。
Good luck with that.
役割分担ってことで。だから俺が状況を説明するぜ。
うん。相談所の人はやっぱり様子見？
Unfortunately, yes.
ああ、残念だがそういうことらしい。
すっごい悔しいけど、多分そうだろうと思ってたからね。向こうの言い分はこう？まだ1日しか経っていないから、今日の欠席も本当に風邪かもしれないし、さとこちゃん自身に特に虐待の痕跡は見つけられなかった。
You know, at least we don't have to go explaining all this to Rena, because she already knows.
こんなとこかな。
お前、俺んちに盗聴器つけてるだろ。そうだよ。まさにその通りだよ。
まだ1日しか経ってないって、本当に嫌な言い方だね。
A day in a situation like that can feel like a lifetime.
虐待が起こってしまったら、その時は手遅れだというのに。
虐待が本当に起こったら、サトコはきっと誰が見てもわかる外傷を負う。そうなったらおじのやつ、サトコを保護士に会わせるわけがない。そうなったらそうなったで、またしても虐待の痕跡は発見できないって言って様子見だ。
それって、すっごい矛盾だよね。
No kidding. Apparently they need court approval to force entry, but applying for that isn't easy. So while social workers may be supposed to have great legal power, in reality, their hands are tied and they can't act if the family turns them away. They're not the police. They're not the ones who storm in, even if they have to break windows to do so. Damn it! Then who does have the right to break those windows? If we did, I'd smash them wide open.
とにかく、連中には危機感が足りねえんだよな。このままサトコを放っておいたら、どういうことになるかが分かってないんだ。
ケイチ君ってちょっとすごいなって思う。
どうしてだ？
だってケイチ君って転校してきたばかりなんだよ。サトコちゃんと知り合って半年も経ってないはずなのに、これだけ親身になってサトコちゃんのことを考えることができて。
Absolutely true. You gotta kind of wonder if the more loops that happen, the more he feels embroiled in Hinamizawa. I'm kind of curious if that's like the truth of it. Like, because it feels like every route he progressively is more Hinamizawa than the last. Maybe he, like, subconsciously feels like he's been here for longer. I
そ
don't
し
know.
て去年のさとこちゃんがどんな状況だったか見たことがないにもかかわらず、さとこちゃんがどんな辛い思いをしたか想像することができる。圭一君が普通の人だったなら、多分私たちが騒ぐのに対し、きっとこう言ってるよ。まだ1日目だろ。しばらく様子を見てみようぜって。
そんなのちょっと想像すりゃわかることじゃねえかよ。それにみんなから去年の里子がどうだったかってことは少なからず聞いてる。それから考えれば一刻の猶予もないことなんて簡単に想像がつくよ。
Yeah, I mean, that's all very true. It's still kind of impressive how quickly he's jumped in, you know?
それはきっとすごいことだと思う。今日、しーちゃんが乱暴なことを言いながら教室から出て行こうとしたとき、圭一君はそれを許さなかったよね。
I feel like he has to be subconsciously remembering some of these past timelines. Like, there's no way.
そして、圭一君が言った言葉が深かった。
Do you think Satoko would appreciate it if you saved her by committing murder?
なかなか男の子が言えることじゃないよ。それどころかごめんね。しーちゃんが言い出すようなことは圭一君が言い出すんじゃないかと思ってた。
You don't really know quite how close you are to the truth. That's our Rena. She saw right through me to the core. To be honest, I was able to keep my calm because Shion caused that commotion. I, too, thought our only option was to kill him. What's there to hesitate about? Everything would be resolved if we went over and killed her uncle right away. I thought those same things myself. And then I thought about how I would actually kill him. First, I'd assault him with a metal bat or something. But before that, I would scope out his house and dig the hole to bury his body in ahead of time. When I imagined it, I envisioned myself actually digging the hole with a camping shovel in the woods. Nah, okay, come on, no, he's remembering, right? Like, I repeated, "This is for Satoko. This is for Satoko," in my mind like a mantra, trying to forget the weight of the murder ahead. I relived that. Exhaustion and frustration. Relived? Okay, yeah. Yeah, like I said, I definitely thought, like, the heel turn was kind of, because of his subconscious memory. Because at first he really was tweaking, right? It looked like he was going to just join up with Shion and they were going to be the murder duo, right? Like, but then he kind of turned, and so it felt like the most likely explanation was that he just remembered. I could very clearly imagine myself standing there, soaking with sweat and covered in mosquito bites. And I'm sure I'd call her uncle or something to lure him out of the house and bludgeon him to death. Then I repeated my mantra, "This is for Satoko. This is for Satoko," blaming her for that serious crime as I tried to avoid my own guilt over committing murder. Did Satoko ask me to do that? Am I going to blame it all on her because I committed murder? Would she appreciate that? No, she wouldn't. I wouldn't be able to tell anyone that I'd killed someone. No one would appreciate my deed, and I'd have to carry that burden for the rest of my life. That pathetic future is one I couldn't have imagined in the rush I felt before carrying out the murder. I decided to kill him so I could return us to happier times. But the act of murder also meant shattering the thin path that could lead us back there.
俺はそこまで想像できたから、シオンのように口に出して言うには及ばなかっただけさ。もしそこまで想像が及ばなかったら、俺もシオンに同調して殺せ殺せって騒いでいた可能性は高いな。
そうなってたらもうどうにもならなかったね。
Ain't that the truth?
圭一君の想像力が豊かでよかったかな。
Right. Vivid imagination, by the way. Was that really just my imagination, though? Did I imagine killing her uncle in my mind? Could imagination alone really be that vivid? I could smell the earth, taste the scattered dirt flying into my mouth, see the pebbles scattered as I shoved my shovel down, and hearing the roots cracking from its weight. The image was so real, it felt more like I had actually done it in the past.
そうだな。どういうことをしたらどういう結果になるか。
想像力のない大人になっちゃったら、圭一君は冷静ないい大人になれると思うよ。
Maybe. He's a little hot-headed right now, so it's a little hard to envision, but you know, in that moment, he was that calm, reasonable figure.
あれは想像の中だったのかな。なんだかさ、 そういうイフの世界が他にもあったんじゃないかって思うんだよ。
Yeah, so very obviously remembering. I wonder if Rena's gonna be like, what? I remembered something too.
想像力が本当に豊かな人はあらゆる可能性の世界を垣間見ることができるって言うもんね。
Maybe that's just what she sees it as.
だから圭一君が本当に悩んで未来を見据えた結果の想像ならば、それは単なる想像の世界ではなく、確かにあり得た別の可能性の世界の情景なんだと思うよ。
その別の世界でも相談所への通報は様子見で終わるんだ。それでその後聡子は一時的に学校に登校するようになるんだが、何日もしないうちに壊れてしまうんだ。
No, don't make me relive that scene. Stop! Satoko was bearing the abuse, but even something small would be enough to break her. Just like an old bowl that has a crack in it. One day that crack will eventually widen and the bowl will shatter.
俺の想像の世界では聡子は頭を撫でたら壊れた。俺の手がおじの手に見えたのかもしれない。俺の手を払いのけて泣きながらカーテンの束を抱いてニーニーニーニーって叫んでたよ。
ニーニーって呼び方、誰に聞いたの？
That's what I was about to say. There's no way for you to know that, bro. There's no way for you to know that.
さあな、誰かに聞いたんだろうな。聡子がサトシを呼ぶ時の呼び方だろ。それがさ、本当に胸がかきむしられるような泣き方なんだ。俺は慰めてやりたいのに近寄ることもできない。
I feel like Rena might realize that he legitimately is seeing, like, a different life.
俺が近寄ろうとするとおじの姿に見えるらしくて余計泣き叫ぶんだ。
やっぱり圭一君はすごいね。それはとても想像の中のこととは思えない。
Because it wasn't.
去年の聡子ちゃんは本当にそうだった。私やみーちゃんなんかはよく覚えてるから想像がつくことだけど、転校してきてまだそんなに経っていない圭一君がそこまで考えることができるなんて。
You gotta tell Rika, man.
本当に圭一君はすごいよ。だから圭一君は私たちと危機感がずれていないんだね。
Yeah, so I think that that in itself supports the theory that I just kind of had, that he's subconsciously remembering other loops, and that's why, and he's gradually becoming more tied to Hinamizawa without realizing it. It almost makes you wonder if chapter 1 is like the literal first loop, right? I don't know. It doesn't have to be the literal first one. I'm just kind of curious if it actually is. It'd be kind of crazy.
じゃあレナも同じなのか？
圭一君ほどはっきりとは見えないけれど、このまま聡子ちゃんを救えずに時間を過ごせば、きっと何日もしないうちに聡子ちゃんは壊れてしまうと思う。圭一君が言うような形でニーニーって言いながらカーテンを抱いて泣き叫ぶと思う。その時私たちはきっと思い知る。無力であることが罪なのではない。何もしないことが罪なんだって思い知る。あれ、私の想像の中の話なのにね。本当に悲しくて涙が出てきた。
She's remembering the exact same situation now. Rena can also sense how urgently we need to save Satoko. Not everybody feels that way, though. My friends all do, but they're special. No normal person like those at the Child Consultation Center see us as overreacting. And normal people... did I say no normal people?
そうだよね。まだ1日しか経ってないって言われたら言い返せないもんね。
Yeah, that's the unfortunate part.
風邪なんかでお薬をもらう時と同じ。2、3日様子を見てみましょうってことになるもんね。
でな、俺たちはこの危機感にもっと素直でいいと思う。
You absolutely should trust your instincts.
一刻の猶予もない。きっと聡子を助け出そう。
私たちは一人一人では何も思いつけないけれど、みんなで一緒に考えればきっとすごい力を生み出せる。ずっと昔、私が一人で悩んで何か悲しい思いをした時、誰かにそう教えてもらった。
I wonder who that was. They might be on the phone with us right now.
今こそそれを実践する時なんだと思う。
そうだな。誰だか知らんがレナにそれを教えたやつは立派なやつだな。
What a coincidence. Relax, Higu. It was strange. I've had this feeling ever since Rena told me this story at school. Felt like I, too, once learned a lesson after some event. But Ren and I only met recently. I guess it's just a coincidence. Anyway, I was so lonely inside of my imagination. I thought it was stupid for them to only sit and think about how they could save Satoko, and I made a selfish decision. But I eventually learned, just like Rena did, you'll never come up with anything good by worrying about something on your own. You'll have to talk to your friends. That way, they'll help you reach the best possible solution.
圭一君がしーちゃんの前に立ちふさがった時、圭一君は言ったね。俺を信じろ。今は思いつかないが、きっと最善手を思いつくからって。私は信じるからね。圭一君はきっと最善手を思いつく。
なんだよ、俺だけに任せるなよ。いいアイデアは引き続き募集中だぜ。
そういう意味じゃないよ。
Yeah, of course.
私は何があっても仲間を信じるよ。
So we're kind of seeing the growth, you know, of the group as a whole.
絶対信じる。
Starting to feel like what a lot of these chapters are is like major steps along Rika's journey, if that makes sense, right? We see the different times that certain individuals, like, we see what I think chapter 1 might just be the start of things. 2 is when Shion breaks. 3 is when Keiichi breaks, and Shion and Keiichi both learn lessons, somewhat, at least from this, right? And we kind of see the impacts of them here, right? Shion realizes that she should have been there, right? For Satoko, and to, like, for what Satoshi wanted. If Satoshi meant so much to her, that she should have helped take care of Satoko, for one, right? Instead of, you know, literally killing Satoko. Keiichi realizes he can't do this on his own, right? Like, being rash isn't going to lead you anywhere, right? Then we move to chapter 6, where it feels like another progression of the group, where this time they're starting to come together after it's too late, and in chapter 7 they're going to come together early, and it might not be enough. That's my guess. It's not going to be enough. They're going to fail this chapter. But then maybe chapter 8, they come together early, and it works, right? And you're going to look back and you realize that a lot of these chapters, it's just a progression stage, right? Like, you see how the things have naturally evolved over these different timelines, right? That's about how I'm feeling right now. Which is interesting. Let's keep moving for now, though. Because her just saying this, you know, I have faith in my friends at all times, I'm going to trust us. Obviously, that wasn't true literally last chapter, and so I feel like it's a consequence of last chapter. And we keep getting these consequences of prior chapters. That's kind of what I was thinking there. So let's keep moving for now.
私たちはきっとさとこちゃんを救えるって信じたから、絶対に短絡的な手段には訴えない。
ああ、そうだな。きっと俺たちはサトコを救い出せる。信じろ。俺も信じる。
I'll never think that I'm the only one who's trying to save her. I believe that all of us feel the same way.
明日みんなで集まって会議をしよう。実際に通報してくれた千恵先生も何か話を聞いてるかもしれないからな。俺たちは子供だから次の手が思いつかないが、大人ならいい手を知ってるかもしれない。
うん、そうだね。もうこれしか手がないなんて浅はかの極みだからね。
そうさ、手がないなんて努力しない奴の言い訳だ。手はある。絶対にあるんだ。だから俺たち自身に手がなくても、その手を探すことを決して諦めない。
うん、諦めない。
Mion praised her for it too, but Rena really is strong in a crisis. I got a little emotional when I was talking with Mion, but Rena is different. Her fire is quiet and blue, so at first glance it seems lesser than my bright red roaring blaze, but the truth is the opposite. Blue flames burn far hotter. As I spoke with Rena, I felt my useless, wild energy calming down so I could rationally search for the best solution. Through that, I felt Rena's strength. Though apparently Rena felt similarly about me.
圭一君と話していると、どんなめちゃくちゃなことになっても絶対に打ち破れるって気がする。圭一君にはそういう力強さと頼もしさがあるよ。だから圭一君と話をしていると、どんどん勇気が出てくる。
Yeah, I mean, their relationship, it really is strong for reasons like that, you know?
私たちは必ずさとこちゃんを救い出せるんだって元気になってくる。
They're coming to really rely on each other.
俺はレナから冷静さ、 レナは俺から元気か。なるほど。お互いにうまく補完し合っている関係だな。理想的じゃないか。
そしてみーちゃんには園崎家という強い力がありながらも打たれ弱い心がある。
Unfortunately, we learned that the hard way.
でもそこはレナとケイイチくんできっと補ってあげられると思う。
そうだな。俺たちメンバーは子として最強。
うん、そうだよ。
Talking to Rena made me feel very confident. If I can share that confidence with my friends, I'll never feel down and miserable ever again. I'm gonna give my power to the other club members so we can fight even harder.
リカちゃんは今一番打ちのめされていて、
Yeah.
戦う気力すらも失ってしまっている。でも私たちが戦う姿を見ていればきっと気力を取り戻してくれると思うよ。
Dude, I don't even know at this point.
そうだな。リカちゃんが戦う気力を取り戻してくれれば、ますますに俺たちは無敵だぜ。とにかく明日だ。校長も交えて次にどういう手があるのか考えようぜ。
Now, I mean, I want to believe that Rika's gonna get that willpower back, but after this chapter, she got it back and then lost it again. I feel like it's gonna be so difficult to get that back, you know?
いろんな人を巻き込んで助力を得てみよう。とにかく最善手を探そう。それこそが今の俺たちにできる最善手だ。
I got off the phone with Rena. That was a pretty passionate conversation we were having. It's unfortunate that the child consultation center came to the conclusion they did. But if they could still decide to wait and see, then that proved that Satoko is still safe for now. We're no more than children. Worrying about it too much won't cause us to come up with any good ideas. Murder isn't a real solution. But I had to admit, I thought about it once. It's easy to burn up in rage. However, I'd have to stay calm, like Rena. She was still burning up, but burning up very calmly with a blue and quiet flame. I'd never seen anything like that before.
ケイチ、お風呂が空いたわよ。早く入りなさい。
She said, "You stink." I heard my mom speaking to
いい
me.
よ。母さんが先に入りなよ。
I needed more time to think about what to do with Satoko. Everyone else was probably doing the same.
ケイイチも早く入りなさい。今日の入浴剤は本物の温泉でも使ってる業務用だから。
本物の温泉には入浴剤って入ってないと思うけどな。
風呂上がりの牛乳がうまい。
My dad seemed to be in a good mood. He probably finished his work. He's as scary as a bear when he has artist's block. Maybe. Maybe my parents could help with an idea. They're the closest adults to me, after all. Should I talk to them? Stupid question. I had no reason not to. I'd have to talk to them and seek some advice.
父さんさ、実はちょっと相談があるんだけど。
I wonder if we're gonna finally see sprites in them. Wouldn't that be crazy? Maybe get a name?
ん
I think we have names. I think I wrote them down somewhere. I don't remember what they were.
なんだなんだ。今度のお祭りの叩き売りオークションのことか？父さんも応援してるからな。そういえば、実行委員会の会合はいつだったっけ？父さんも呼ばれてたな。ちゃんと予定表に書いておかないとな。
あ、その件じゃないんだよ。実はクラスメートがちょっと大変なことになってて。
As I talked about Satoko, my mom joined us and listened as well. My dad is a strange artist, but my mom is a normal person with common sense. She might be able to help.
それでさっきの電話は結局様子見になったっていう連絡だったんだ。それで俺たち明日からどうしようかって言って悩んでるんだよ。
沖宮の生活相談所に通報したなら、あとは任せておくのがいいんじゃないの？
でも、その子は去年にもひどくいじめられていたんだろう？虐待の度合いのことはわからないが、二人で仲良く暮らしていたのを無理やり引き裂くのは、父さんは少し納得できないな。
1年間も養育を放棄してて、ひょっこり帰ってくるような人では確かにね。
Yeah, shit, she made it herself that whole year.
児童相談所が様子見って言ってるから、じゃあ様子見でいいだろうってのはものすごく他力本願だと思うんだ。俺たちは聡子の仲間だから、聡子を救い出すためにもっともっと攻めていきたいんだよ。でもそれがどんな方法なのか思いつかないんだ。
ケイチ、闇討ちなんて考えちゃダメよ。
Good advice.
考えてないよ。というかそんなこと考えてたら親に相談なんかしないよ。
それもそうね。ケイチのことだから完全犯罪ってどんな方法があるっ って聞いてきそうな気がしたものだから。
You've seen this one before. Hey, I would never ask my parents something like that. Yeah, wrong, I think.
圭一が正しいぞ。世の中には戦いがたくさんあるが、ルールに従って戦うのが大切だ。ルールを違反する人は誰も助けてくれないし、褒めてもくれない。ちゃんとルールにのっとって喧嘩をしなくちゃダメだ。
喧嘩にルールもへったくれもないと思うけどな。で、どう？何か手があったら教えてほしいんだけど。
My parents have been alive for more than twice as long as me. They must have had some experience with things like this. I don't think this is something your average person experiences, to be honest. They must have many good ideas. At least that's what I thought. But they crossed their arms and went silent.
普通はそういう話になったら、通報して拉致が開かなくてその先ってのはな。
やっぱり法律とかそういうのではもうどうにもならないのかな。聡子がひどい傷を負うまで警察も相手にしてくれないのかな。
だとしたら訴えていくしかないな。
訴える？裁判？
違うぞ圭一。児童虐待は児童相談所の管轄と決まっている。そしてその児童相談所の判断に不服なら
裁判で訴える？
圭一、裁判は当事者同士の話し合いがつかないとき、その裁定を求める場でしょ。その前の段階を踏まなくちゃ。
日常生活の保全と問題解決は生活相談所の管轄と決まってる。そしてその相談所の判断に不服なら
なら
Are we about to switch perspectives? Or are we just advancing forward? I think we're just advancing forward. I was like, if we switch to Rika, like, right now, like, I wanted
児
to...
童相談所に訴えるんだよ俺たちが。
Yeah, alright, so that's the idea he's got in his head. We heard the song? Gosh, I'm going crazy. Okay, now we finally got like a little beat drop. Track is kind of hard. Let's keep it going. We're unsatisfied with the decision they made. We can simply go and tell them that.
聡子とうちの関係はそんなのんびりしたものじゃないってことを誰よりも事情を知る。
そうだよね。相談所の人が私たちと同じくらいに聡子ちゃんの置かれている状況を理解しているとは思えないもの。もし状況の認識に誤解があるなら私たちが説明してその誤解を解かなくちゃ。
なるほど、真正面からの正攻法ってわけか。どうでしょうね。
The fact that it faded out the moment Shion popped up on screen, is that intentional? No, I don't think it was.
お役所って一度決めた決定は容易に覆さないって聞きます。
Stubborn mules.
意味ないんじゃないですか？
意味がないかどうかは試さなくちゃわからないことだろ。やる前から諦めるなんて負け犬の発想だぞ。
Ooh, let him know, Keiichi.
できる手は全て試すんだ。昨日校長も教えてくれたぜ。どうせダメだと言って諦めた時、戦う前から俺たちは敗北するんだ。シオンは聡子を助け出すつもりで短絡的な手段に訴えるのも辞さないとメラメラ真っ赤に燃え盛ってる。でもな、本当に熱い炎ってのは青くて静かなんだ。
He's coming in with some nice analogies here that maybe help. We'll see.
決して諦めるな。俺たちにできる全ての手を尽くすんだ。
Calm and determined Shion is a very frightening Shion.
どうですか先生、俺間違ったことを言ってますか？
いいえ、間違ったことは言っていません。よく冷静に考えましたね。ひょっとしたら闇討ちしようなんてとんでもない話を言い出さないか先生、ちょっと不安でした。
Ye of little faith. Justified, but that's what my mom was saying. Is that how people perceive me?
先生も本当は様子見をするべきであると考えていました。でも皆さんの訴えや 去年の話をいろいろと思い出すうちに、聡子ちゃんの問題が一刻の猶予もないということを理解できました。人は訴えによって考えを変えることがあります。それは沖宮の相談所とて同じです。訴えれば判断が覆ることもあるかもしれない。
どう？しーちゃん、一人で膝を抱えて悩むくらいなら私たちと一緒に戦わない？
誰が膝を抱いてるんですか？私、泣き寝入りなんてしませんってば。
So, you know, commonly said by a person who is sad because they feel all alone. By the way.
なんだなんだ、シオンの狼狽が激しいな。ひょっとしてビンゴだな。
失礼な。
Yeah, okay, bro. Right, right.
いいですよ、行こうじゃないですか、児童相談所。それでも様子見なんて言いやがったら鼻の骨をへし折ってやる。
Yeah, okay, that sounds a little more like you. But at least you're going. It's a start.
鼻の骨はまずいが、心意気は上等だぜ。
He said, that's a bad plan, but we're making progress.
シオンも一晩頭を冷やして少し炎を青くできたようだな。
私は聡子を救うために本気なだけです。
Believe me, we know. Not one person in this room has doubted that at any point, by the way.
とにかくそうと決まったら躊躇せずに実行しよう。児童相談所の場所は分かってる。実はね、おじさんも知らなかったんだけど、図書館の1階に児童相談所はあったんだよね。
Mion grinned and showed us the location on a city guidebook. She's really prepared for this.
受付の時間は夕方5時15分まで。相手はお役人だからね、あくまでも冷静にね。何よね、私に言ってるんですか？私を誰だと思ってるんですか？相手を口説くのが目的なら、嘘泣きだろうとこびまくりだろうと、私は何だってやりますよ。
She totally would too, the manipulative ass.
しーちゃん、その息だよ。夕方5時なら今から行けば十分間に合うね。
Shion really might just be the right person for the job too, is the best part. I feel like I remember explicitly putting in my notes at one point as part of the reason that I thought Chapter 2 Mion was actually Shion, which it was, of course, was I was like, I feel like this Mion is suddenly a lot more manipulative, right? And I'm like, that feels like Shion. The little that we knew of her, that was one of the first reads I got. It's like, she is some manipulative motherfucker, man. Right? Like, so she's like playing into that. She's like, who do you think I am? I'll cry to manipulate them if I have to, right? To get them to do what we need, right? Like, and I'm like, that's the Shion I know, who's calmed down and is thinking a little more logically, right? Using her strengths. Which is better than murder. Better than murder. It was past 3 o'clock. We'd make it before they closed if we rushed there on our bikes.
でもよ、お役所って時間に厳しいんだろ。時間ぴったりになったら追い出されるんじゃねえのか？
入り口は時間ぴったりに閉まるけどね、その時間に中に入れば絶対に追い出されはしない。いい？お役人と交渉するときは決して値を上げないこと。お役人は意外にタフだけど、民間と違って向こうから話を打ち切れないの。絶対にこれ以上は言っても拉致が開かないなんて思って屈服しちゃダメ。しっかり全ての言い分を言い終わるまで粘るんだよ。
兄ちゃん、お役所の人に詳しいね。
She might have gotten advice from someone inside.
私を誰だと思ってんの？市長懇親会メンバーにして市政モニター会員、園崎お亮の代理だよ。
That's basically the other thing I was about to say is she's played this game before.
お役所の人と話をすることなんてしょっちゅうだって。
なあミオン、園崎家の方からいわゆる別のルートを使って働きかけるってことはできないのか？
それはバッチャが絡むからね。ばあさんの力を借りるのは無理でしょ。未だ頭の中はダム戦争。
Yeah, she's not gonna help a Hojo.
一億一心火の玉ですからね。 今でも北条家のことを嫌ってるみたいですし。
聡子の死んだ両親がダムに反対してたって話か。
Bro, who told you this? Like,
俺はミオンのばあさんには会ったことねえんだが、ケツの穴の小せえ野郎だな。
that's true.
いつまでも終わったことぐちぐち言ってんじゃねえってんだよ。
Certainly not something Satoko was a part of.
全くです。この点ではケイちゃんと一致しましたね。
つまり園崎家としては動けないってことなんだね。
I just love this percussion line, man.
そういうことだね。ごめんね。年寄りは頭が固いから。
That is often true.
リカちゃんは猫可愛がりな連中が多いくせに、聡子はみんな見て見ぬふりだった。
Talk about hypocritical. Surface level love for Rika, you know? Like, we love Rika, but her best friend? Who cares?
今回の件とは別にせよ、鉄平は積極的に聡子をいじめやがるからもちろん許さねえが、消極的に聡子をいじめるやつも俺が許さねえからな。
Honestly, a solid way to put it.
その年寄り連中に畳の上で死にたかったら前原圭一をあまり怒らせるなって伝えとけ。
うん、了解。じゃあ行きませんか？時間がもったいないです。
よっしゃ、全は急ごうぜ。行こうぜみんな。
リカちゃんはどうする？一緒に行こう。
Rena spoke to Rika-chan, who had been avoiding all conversation. She seemed to have given up all hope yesterday. It was so painful to see her so depressed.
どうせ何をやっても無駄よ。ほら、そのどうせがいけない。無駄かどうかは試さなくちゃわからないもの。
So, you probably haven't even seen this scenario play out before, Rika. Chill.
あまたの世界で何度もあなたたちは右往左往した。
Oh, she's just coming out and saying it.
それでどうにもならなかったのに、どうして今回はどうにかなると思えるの？
She does not care anymore. Sometimes I really had no idea what she was saying. All I could tell is that she was being negative about the situation.
リカちゃんは児童相談所に行って無駄だってことをもう試してきたの？なら試そうよ。リカちゃんにとって聡子ちゃんは大切じゃないの？なら試そうよ。今ほど聡子ちゃんがリカちゃんの力を求めている時はないと思うよ。
Definitely.
どうせ終わる世界の座興ね。
どうしたの？早く行こうよ。リカちゃまが乗り気じゃないみたいです。
Bro, being on the other end of Rika when you have no idea what the hell she's talking about has to be so confusing. They're all like, what is she talking about? Like, this world is about to end? Like, you never saved her in your previous lives? What the hell? Like,
本当に友達がいのない人ですね。普段あれだけ一緒にいる親友なのに、貞子のピンチに腰を上げることすらできないんですか？
oh, like it is, Shion.
あんたに聡子のことで説教される日が来るとはね。
That is a little crazy. Don't go there.
聡子をあれだけ目の敵にしてたあんたがね。
Yeah, she's going there.
ん？あんた、おつむは大丈夫です？なんで私が聡子を目の敵にしなきゃなんないんですか？
こっちの話よ。いいわ。付き合う。どうせ家に帰ったってふて寝するだけだもん。
Oh my god. What?
なんか気に入りませんね。つうか、私のことバカにしてます？
Bro, I can kind of see why Shion's gonna respond that way to, you know, I'll have nothing to do but drink till I pass out anyway. So I'll come for that alone, right? Like, you know, from an outsider's perspective, Rika is certainly not acting her normal self.
やめなよ、しーちゃん。そしてリカちゃんもやめて。今は聡子ちゃんを救うためにみんなで力を合わせよう。みんなの力が合わさればきっと奇跡が起こせる。
Good luck.
それには全員の力がいる。一人の力が欠けてもダメ。だからリカちゃん、あなたも力を貸して。
Something that Rena said must have given Rika-chan motivation. I could see a slight sparkle in her eyes. Maybe they'll make a miracle happen. Rena said something interesting. She said that we can make a miracle happen. It's the same thing I said when this world began. Oh, we're back to Rika. At that time, I said I could make a miracle happen, but I didn't say how. But Rena just clearly stated that.
みんなの力を合わせれば奇跡が起きる。うん。奇跡ってのはね、それだけのことで起こせるんだよ。それでも起きなかったら、本当にみんなの力を得ていない時だけ、みんなが本当に力を合わせたら起きない奇跡などない。
Hope Core.
そうですね。竜宮さんの言う通りです。人は助け合うことで何倍にも強くなれます。一人でも多くの力が合わされば必ずどんな困難も乗り越えられ。
そうだね。
Bad about clicking too early.
かつてひなみ沢もダム湖の底に沈むという運命が決まっていた。
That's true.
でもそれを2000人の人々が結束して決まっていた運命を打ち破った。
運命打ち破る。
私たちひなみ沢の人間はこれほど身近に奇跡をしているはずなんだよ。みんなで力を合わせれば絶対に打ち勝てる。そこまで言われたら行くしかないと思いませんか、リカちゃま。
Kind of funny that I somehow never thought about it from that angle of like the Hinamizawans have banded together to create a miracle before, right? And so now they just need to do it again.
これで奇跡が起こらなかったらリカちゃまが欠けてみんなが揃わなかったから奇跡が起こらなかったことになります。
So it's gonna be my fault. That's interesting. A miracle is something that we can make happen, but we need everyone's power to make that come true. Destiny can be defeated. Fate can be escaped from. This can happen with a miracle. A miracle can happen if we unite.
昨日レナも言ったぜ。一人で悩んだってろくなことは思いつかない。全員で力を合わせるんだ。運命に屈するな。そもそも運命なんてな、金魚すくいの網より薄くて簡単に破れるもんだってことを覚えておけよ。
How can he say that without knowing how stubborn fate can be? To me, a witch trapped within fate? But for some reason, his words sounded very persuasive. He easily changed my fate to play the fishing game. In my previous life, Keiichi saved Rena from her devastating fate. As fragile as a thin sheet of paper. He's saying that the world I've been struggling in for 100 years is that easy to change? Keiichi had made a fool out of me.
面白いわね。行くわ。
よし、よく言ったぜ、リカちゃん。
It's still not like her at all, but whatever.
リカ、いいのですか？
Anya looked at me with concern. She wanted to warn me that I'll get hurt if I expect too much.
どうせかけるコインは一枚も残ってない。これ以上何を負けたって失うものなんかないわ。
Worst case scenario, that's true. You have nothing to lose at this point.
どうせ終わった世界だもの。でもそれは前の世界もそうだった。レナが学校を占拠した時、もうどうしようもないと思った。あれほどの末期的な局面からすら、その圭一が運命なんか金魚すくいの網だって言うのよ。この世界をもう諦めてるからこそ、なんだか面白そうに感じてきたわ。
Worst case scenario, you might learn something for the future, you know?
どうせまた期待を裏切られます。そして辛そうになるリカを見て僕も辛い気持ちになるのです。大丈夫よ。もう落ち込まないわ。流せる涙は流し尽くしたもの。
I was gonna say, you feel like you gotta get in an up state to reach the down state.
どうせ圭一たちがどうあがいたって聡子は救えないって諦めてる。だからこそよ、児童相談所に乗り込もうなんて展開は初めてだしね。圭一に起こせる奇跡なんて何もないのですよ。
Anya spoke to me in a stern voice. Miracles are called miracles because they don't happen easily. If it can happen at any time, it's not a miracle. It's just something that was meant to be.
期待なんかしてないわよ。でも面白そうだと思うのよ。運命をあっさり破ると豪語した圭一がどうあがくのかがね。
I feel like this is closer to a miracle than they're giving it credit for because Keiichi, things have changed because they're continuing to remember past loops, right? Past lives, right? And that's kind of miraculous, and like that things are changing, that they haven't resorted to murder, right? Which was literally their first resort in every chapter before this. Every single one, right? Someone was like, kill, murder, right? That's the solution to our problems. Just gonna kill someone, right? Specifically 3 and 6 are the ones that where it's really obvious that that's a solution to a problem, right? Whereas 1 and 2 are very paranoia, fear induced, right? But still, that was the solution to these problems, right? And by thinking it out calmly and rationally, because we remember those scenarios, that's pretty miraculous in and of itself, right? I'm not saying that this solution is going to work, but like, I don't know, I don't think you can just dismiss this as like something so simple, right? Like, you know, because miracles are called miracles because they don't happen easily. Like, this didn't happen easily getting to this point.
リカ、どうか自分の心をこれ以上追い詰めないように気をつけてなのです。余計なお世話よ。
That's true.
消えなさい。
Sheesh. A little rude, but also I get it. I mean, Hanyu straight up telling her, like, don't, like, even try, right? Like, just keep riding along until you find the right world, which, I don't know, I don't really agree with that. Like, she's telling her to do that rather than risk hurting herself reaching out for the future that she wants, right? And actively searching for it at the risk of not getting it and being disappointed. I wasn't expecting anything. I was just trying to enjoy my last week alive, like watching a TV show. But I had to admit, I was possessed by a strange feeling. It was a little bit exhilarating. I was nervous, as if anticipating something. I'd felt the same way when Keiichi remembered the memories from the past in my previous life. I didn't have any coins left to make a bet, but I knew what this feeling meant. If I had a coin left in my heart, I would bet everything on this feeling.
すべての手を尽くしてダメならば、それはそれで諦めがついて気分がいいかもしれないものね。
So basically, she still has hope, but she just hasn't admitted it yet.
諦める必要なんかねえぞ。絶対にサトコは救い出せるんだからな。リカちゃんはちゃんとサトコの布団を干しておけよ。サトコが近いうちに戻ってくるんだからな。その時ふかふかの布団が敷けなかったらかわいそうだぞ。
As confident as ever, Keiichi.
気に入ったわ、ケイイチ。行きましょう。
Rika just dropping the whole mask and no one even like questioning this is so funny to me. Given the circumstances, it's not that crazy that she changed a bit, but it's so funny that she's just her normal self. She's not even pretending anymore, right? And no one's like, who is this? Like,
あんたなら地獄の閻魔の最低だって金魚すくいの網と同じにしてしまうわね。
ああ、今の俺を地獄の閻魔だって食い止められると思うなよ。絶対に児童相談所に様子見なんて判断を撤回させてやる。
let's see if it works. I stood up from my seat. Keiichi's a very good speaker. That's why I never get bored with him. I've been with him for over 100 years, but he still keeps me entertained.
じゃあ先生、私たちはちょっくら行ってきます。先生も来ますか？私は教育委員会の方へ訴えます。児童相談所も教育委員会も同じ役所ですからね。役所は案外内側から攻めるのが効果的なこともあります。一応先生も地方公務員ですからね。
確かにそうですね。役所の人は外部には冷たくても内部にはそうとはじゃあ先生には先生の角度からの攻撃をお願いして私たちは行こうじゃない。
So it's all up to the kids.
真正面からの攻撃を。
よし、行こうみんな。
Alright, let's do this. Even knowing that everything is doomed, part of me felt like something good might happen. Hanyu told me that it was only a waste of time. I felt the same way until a few minutes ago. But I'd become much more interested. I had no idea what would happen. I wanted to see how Keiichi was planning to defeat this destiny. I raised my fist in the air along with him and hurried to the exit. As for Satoko, she didn't come to the school again today. Teppei called the school and told them that she still has a fever. He said that he's going to keep her home for a few days until she gets better. Chi said that she thinks Teppei knows she called the child consultation center. He must be worried that Satoko will rat him out if he lets her go to school. I don't want to think about it, but it's possible that Satoko has visible bruises by now. That could also be why he won't let her go to school. Everything was happening much earlier. Satoko's situation was worsening earlier than it did in my previous lives. Let's see if we can manage to tear tear the thin sheet of paper known as fate. We're getting a lot of really long sub-chapters in this chapter. I'm not gonna lie, I feel like most of the episodes have been one sub-chapter.
意気込んできたのはいいものの、待たされるな。
あそこで暇そうにしてる人たちが話を聞いてくれてもいいと思いません？あそこにいるのは一般事務員だよ。私たちはちゃんと話すべき相手と話さなきゃならないんだからさ。
待たされるということは、世の中にはこういう相談事が多いのかな。
どうなんだろうね。考えてみれば、ここの職員が暇そうでちょうどいい気がしてくるよ。
What are the odds we know the social worker? Kind of curious.
虐待の相談が繁盛しているようでは、世も末なのです。
Yeah, good. Unfortunately, good points on both ends. Yeah, I wish the child consultation center was not exactly a busy place. You feel me? That would be great. After 30 minutes, they finally called my name. I wrote down my name at the registration, as Mio can't let them know she's from the Sonozaki family.
今呼ばれた前原ですけど。
I went to the receptionist to find a uniformed older lady. Okay, so we're back to Keiichi, it seems? She must be one of the office workers Mion mentioned. Was she really going to be the one dealing with us?
前原さん、本日は5人でいらっしゃってますが、どういうご相談でしょうか？
The only thing I wrote on the registration was that I wanted to talk about Satoko Hojo.
昨日、ひなみ沢分校の千恵先生から通報があった、北条聡子の保護についての件です。
I'm worried that they're gonna try to shut this down, like, quick as hell, but I don't think Keiichi's gonna let it just end like that, you know?
それで、ちょっとお話ししたいことがありまして。
Like, I feel like they're gonna be like, no, we can't discuss this, and he's gonna be like, oh, yes, we will.
前原さんと皆さんは、
はい、クラスメートです。
お話の内容ですが、概要をお聞かせいただいてもよろしいですか？
実は北条聡子の件なんですけど、虐待はなくて様子見みたいな話になったと聞きました。それで聡子の状況についてもう少し詳しく説明がしたいと思いまして、今日来たわけなんですが。
わかりました。もうしばらくお待ちください。
That was it from her then. A real social worker should be coming here to talk with us. She was just asking us basic information. With that done, she was talking on the phone and explaining to someone what I just told her.
何を聞かれたの？
今日は何のご用事ですかって聞かれたぜ。もうちょい待たされるのかな。
こういう無意味な待ち時間ってイラつきます。
Believe me, everyone in this room does, Shion.
ミーはさっきからポスターとかチラシばかり読んでいますが、楽しいですか？
虐待を見たり聞いたりしたらご通報くださいなんてのがいっぱいあるよ。だから私たちみたいなのが来ても決してお門違いってわけじゃなさそうだね。
虐待の目をつむ地域、みんなの目。これって川柳なのかな？
言われてみれば、そういう啓発ポスターがいっぱい貼ってあるな。
Yeah, and that's what they're trying to do.
さすが児童相談所だぜ。
内側に貼ってもあまり意味がないと思いますです。
Rika-chan was right. It should be posting them all over the city, not just inside the building. That's kind of a good point.
前原様。
Like Sama. What good is what good does it do to when you're already inside the child consultation center to be like, come to us like early, right? Don't let it escalate, right? Like at that point you probably already made the decision. That's yeah, that's not great.
大変お待たせしました。2番の相談室へお入りください。
お、呼ばれたぜ。行こう。
As we walked, we soon saw rooms numbered 1 through 3.
へえ、銀行みたいにカウンター越しに普通に話すのかと思ってたぜ。個室になってるのか。
多分プライバシー保護のためだね。
Yeah, this isn't really stuff you can talk about out in the open.
相談する内容はほとんどの場合あまり人に聞かれたくない内容だと思うから。
そういう家庭内のトラブルを囲んで見えなくしてしまう土壌がきっと児童虐待を助長してしまうんだろうね。
家庭問題は見て見ぬふりをするのが美徳っぽいとこって確かにありますね。
Yeah. Room number 2. It's this one. As I knocked, I heard the voice of a woman telling me to come in.
失礼します。
It was a very small room. Well, I should say it was narrow. It wasn't wide, but it was very long. There was a counter in the middle, which split the room into two. The woman was sitting on the other side of the counter. She told us to take a seat, but there were only 2 chairs. I sat down, since we registered under my name. Mion wouldn't sit because she felt that the Sonozaki sister shouldn't be in the front. Rena tried to offer the seat to Rika-chan, but she refused too, so Rena ended up taking it. It was such a tiny room that it was better for us to take a seat. It was very cramped with the 5 of us.
申し訳ございませんね。普通はご両親が2人でお見えになることが多いので。
Okay, so it doesn't seem like it's somebody we know. I was kind of curious if we were gonna if it was somehow gonna secretly be someone we knew this whole time, you know? I understand that.
それで今日はどういったご相談でしょうか。
俺が代表で喋っていいのか？俺たちはひなみ沢分校に通っているもので、北条聡子の友人です。昨日学校から通報があって、相談所の人が聡子のところへ行ったと思います。ただそこで緊急性がないと判断されて様子見になったと聞き、相談所の方が事態をよく把握されてないんじゃないかと思って、その辺の説明に参りました。
I'm just worried that they're gonna basically get maybe a formal shut up. Like, nodded. It seemed like I was doing okay so far.
説明と申しますと、どんな説明でしょうか。お聞かせいただけますか。
ですね、確かに聡子はおじに連れ去られてからまだ2日しか経ってませんが、ひどい乱暴をされるのは時間の問題なんです。実際去年の時にもおじは聡子をひどくいじめていたんです。そういういじめが行われるのは時間の問題だと思います。だからそうなる前に聡子をおじの元から救い出してほしいんです。でも聞くところによれば相談所は様子見ってことになったそうじゃないですか。
様子見なんて聡子を見殺しにするつもりですか？
Shion, you gotta chill out. You gotta chill out. Look, I appreciate your fire, but you're probably gonna need to reel it in a little bit already. First sentence coming out with that one, gonna need to reel it in a notch. I like I said, I appreciate the enthusiasm, but starting with, are you gonna neglect her? I'm like, oh lord, she's about to go crazy. She's about to tweak, bro.
聡子が虐待を受けていないから助けなくていいなんてよく言えますね。虐待を受けたらその傷は誰が責任を取ってくれるんです？
Shion, come on. Shion probably didn't like how politely I was speaking to her. She was already flaring up with rage at the social worker. It looked like Mion didn't want her to tear into her. However, she let Shion finish, as she'd get even more furious if we tried to stop her. The woman seemed to be used to people losing their temper, and she continued without reacting to Shion's outburst. I was going to say, in this position, you probably hear that pretty often, but...
まず誤解を解いておきたいと思いますけど、北条さんの件は現在対応中です。見殺しとか放置とかそういうわけではないんですよ。
Working on her case. They're not abandoning her. They're currently reviewing options, I suppose? While their mature phrasing made me start to think it might be rude and harsh to say they were abandoning her, Rena quietly opened her mouth.
でも昨日の時点では何もせずに帰られてますよね。
No one can ever fool Rena. Taking their time to review options was the exact same thing as abandoning her. The fact is, they left her in that house without taking any actions to prevent her from being abused.
昨夜は相談所の者が直接お伺いし、それ以上のことはプライバシーがありますのでお話できませんが、決して見殺しなんてことはありません。北条さん親子が健全な生活を送れるよう引き続き指導していくつもりです。
See, you're calling him the father already proves you might not really understand the case. I wonder if that's where they're going with this, or if this is one of those like honest, like kind of like typos, misunderstanding things. But like the fact that they don't even realize it's an uncle is maybe a little sus.
何言ってんです？
Okay, that's where we're going with this.
おじとめいです。本当に事態を把握してるんですか？
失礼しました。おじとめいですね。訂正します。とにかく 親権者と児童が健全な関係を結べるよう指導中です。
If they believe they can do that, they're not gonna do shit if they think that's gonna work. She would pounce on her mistake immediately. I didn't think she needed to be so snappy, but at this point I was starting to understand how different their sense of urgency was from
いや
ours.
サトコは普通に生活してきたんですよ。おじなんかの助けもなく。第一、おじはそれまで1年間どっかへ蒸発していて、いきなり帰ってきてサトコをさらったんですよ。
I understand he has the legal right to do so, but the fact that she was living a happier life while being neglected by her guardian kind of says it all.
それって誘拐じゃないんですか？
Okay, no, that's not a crime.
誘拐というのは言い過ぎですね。子は親権者の定めるところに住まなければならないと定められています。民法の第821条で親権者はこの
1年間も聡子をほったらかしてたんですよ。なんであんな奴が親権者なんて言えるんですか？そりゃシオン、聡子の両親が2年目のたたりで死んだ時、ちゃんとそういうことになってるんだよ。
そうなのか？あんなやつでも親権者なんて名乗れるのか？
民法の何条だかは知らないけど、未成年者は親権に服さないといけないと決められてる。つまり子である限り誰にでも親権者はいるんだよ。いや、いないといけないんだよ。
それは民法の第818条ですね。
それってのはつまり聡子の両親が亡くなった時に自動的におじおばの夫婦にスライドするもんなのか？
基本的には近い親族に決まる。聡子にはおじ夫婦しか親類がいないようだったからね。もちろん聡子たちが望めば他の人が親権者になることもあったかもしれないけど、
Only they would have.
ダム戦争の直後のひなみ沢でニック騎北条家の子供ですから。
No one would have taken them in.
引き取り手なんて現れるわけないじゃないですか。引き手あまたであっさり君吉のおじいちゃんが後見人になってくれたリカちゃまとは事情が違うんです。
Alright, Shion, we don't need to like point fingers at Rika right now. Even if you're correct. I knew that the Hojo family was in favor of the dam project, and the whole village hated her family for that reason. But I thought everything was over after they canceled the project and Satoko's parents died. Was I aware of the difference? The difference between how the villagers treat Satoko and how they treat Rika-chan? The villagers don't abuse Satoko like her uncle, but maybe there were small thorns left in the village, and they were stinging Satoko occasionally.
大きい声じゃ言えないけど、おじ夫婦より聡子の一家の方が財産は持ってたと思う。親権者になればこの財産管理権ができるからね。だからおじ夫婦はあの後シャーシャーと聡子の家へ引っ越してきて乗っ取っちゃったわけよ。あいつらの本当の家知ってる？めちゃくちゃ小さくて狭いんだよ。
なんだか嫌な話だね。でも親権者が1年間も聡子ちゃんを放置してたんでしょ？それって親権者って言えるの？
I guess in all fairness, it was a little less than a year actually, but doesn't really change the fact that there was neglect for nearly 365 days.
どうなんですか？
If it had been reported earlier, maybe they could have done something about it, but
そうですね。民法の4編4章に親権の喪失についての定めというのがあります。
the problem is no one reported the neglect until he came back. So I don't know if there's going to be anything they can do about it. The woman opened a thick book on the counter and showed us that page. I didn't completely understand what it says on there, but it seemed that a parent can lose custody when they're being irresponsible.
つまり親の資格というのは取り消せるものなんだね。
We'd need someone else who's willing to take on that role. Maybe if we're lucky, Irie would.
待て待て、裁判所がどうとか書いてあるぞ。何？家庭裁判所はこの親族または検察官の請求によってその親権の喪失を宣告することができる。
That's not Shion.
なんだこれ。
The point stands.
あんな奴の親権を奪うのにのんびりと家庭裁判所の判断を待たなきゃならないんですか？そんな悠長な。
That does sound like a line that was designed for Shion.
いえいえ、本当にそのようなことがあった場合には児童の安全のため緊急の一時保護をすることもあります。
I have a bad feeling about specifically that line. I feel like, well, I don't know. I don't feel like they're going to take on the... Surely they're not going to take the Chapter 1 Oishi approach of wait for something bad to happen so that they can use that as the jumping moment, right? To get what they need, right? In this case, wait for something bad to happen, somehow prove it, right? right? Like, they don't want the bad thing to happen in the first place, right?
もちろん、その場合も火災の許可が必要ですが、
その834条の親権喪失に北条哲平は該当しないんですか？親権者である北条哲平が1年間育児放棄をしていた事実、それを相談所ではどうお考えですか？
それはプライバシーがありますのでお答えできませんが、もちろんその点についても相談所の方で説明を求めています。
で、その説明に納得したんで様子見ってことになったわけですか？
ですから先ほども申しましたように、現在対応中です。児童の身柄ももちろん第一に考えますし、児童が健全な家族環境の中で暮らしていけるよう慎重に対応するつもりです。
Yeah, okay, bro. We weren't on the same page at all. They just weren't understanding the urgency. I've never met this Tepe guy. I only know about the situation based on what my friends told me about last year and what Chie-sensei told us, but I still understood very well. I understood that something really bad was going to happen if we didn't take any action right now.
だいたい去年だっておじおば揃っていじめてたんですよ。そんなおじのところに預けてても大丈夫なんですか？その時のことが記録に残ってるはずですよね。
過去の件についてはプライバシーでお答えできませんが、もちろん総合的に判断した上で対応しております。
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like they're not getting anywhere because everything that they could actually discuss, they can't talk about for privacy reasons.
昨日も登校してこないし、今日も登校してきませんでした。確かに学校には風邪だと連絡があったそうですが、おじに連れて行かれてから一度も学校に来てないなんておかしくありませんか？
そうですね。ただ風邪で2日休むこともないとは言えません。もう少し様子を見てもいいのではないかと思います。
とにかく聡子がおじのところにいたいわけがないんですよ。おじに無理やり監禁されてるんです。
もちろん当方の職員が直接児童に聞き取りも行い、その上で判断しております。
Like the abused child is gonna say anything in front of the abuser, by the way.
結局あれですか？聡子の過去の嘘通報が今田を引いてるってわけですか？
過去の件はプライバシーでお答えできません。児童のために総合的に判断しています。
Oh, brother.
聡子のやつ、
Heard that enough
兄の
times.
サトシに変に義理立てして虐待されててもされてないって言うと思うんですよ。だから聡子が虐待はないって言っても鵜呑みにしないでください。
打ちのめされた人間には助けを求める気力もないってことわかりますよね。
もうしのごの言わずに聡子を早く助け出してください。聡子に何かあったら絶対許さないですから。私が真摯の対応しているうちに何とかしないと大変なことになるよ。よしなよシオン。
I feel you, Shion, but you gotta reel it in. Making threats is not gonna help, really.
心象悪くするだけだよ。相談所の人が言った時、おじがどういう態度をしたのか分かりませんが、とにかくあいつは乱暴なやつなんです。騙されないでください。今日はそれを伝えたくて来たんです。
だからどうか一刻も早く聡子ちゃんを助け出す判断を下すよう保護よろしくお願いいたします。
Some of us were getting emotional, but Mion calmed them down, and Rena summed it up nicely. I stopped speaking to see what she was gonna say next.
保護士さんではなく福祉士さんですね。お話は分かりました。聡子さんのお友達3、4、5人からその旨の訴えがあったことを児童福祉士に伝えます。引き続き慎重に対応してまいりますので、今後も何かございましたらお知らせいただければと思います。
Yeah, this isn't going anywhere.
どうか今後とも児童福祉にご協力いただければ幸いです。本日は貴重なお話をお聞かせくださり、誠にありがとうございました。
Is that it then? Are we leaving? Looks like they've left. Yeah. We were still in Okonomiya. We were in the city park, devoid of playing children, staring vacantly up at the madder red sky in silence.
なんだかこう、うまくあしらわれた感じがしてならないです。
Yeah, that's because they didn't.
かといって邪険にされたわけじゃないし。
Well, they were obligated not to do that by the sound of it.
あの人は多分相談窓口の人で、聡子ちゃんの件を直接担当してる人じゃないんだよ。
I mean, yeah, probably. And so, in that case, I feel like you can't get too mad specifically at the intermediary there, but like, damn, is it frustrating? Because it didn't feel like they were taking anything seriously. Everything was for privacy reasons. We can't continue. Rest assured, we're taking this seriously, right? But it just doesn't feel that way.
だからああいう言い方になっちゃうんだよ。
ミオはさっきのやりとりはどう見た？
Yeah, she doesn't seem like she's full of hope.
なんだか大木を相手に相撲を取ったような感じだね。押しても来ない、引いても来ない。あれじゃあ壁に向かって独り言言ったのと変わらないじゃないですか。
そんなことないよ。ちゃんと今日の話を伝えてくれるって言ってた。
Maybe that'll do something.
あの人は直接さとこちゃんのことを知らないから、私たちから見たら冷たい言い方になっちゃうんだよ。
You just gotta hope they take it a little more seriously, but...
レナ的には今日の手応えはあったと思うか？
We'll see how they take it, but I feel like by going in and voicing your like what you fully believe to be true and what we really know to be true, frankly, about the situation with a little more context, right? And saying like, look, this isn't a situation you can just wait and see on. And I'm not saying it means they won't, but if they at least forward the complaints, that does something, right? It's not they did something, but we'll see if they do anything with, like, if what they did accomplishes anything, of course, right? That's the big question.
無駄だったとは思わないよ。
Yeah, I guess that was more my point. It's not like they wasted their time, right? Like, at the minimum, they made their voices known, but we're just going to see if those voices get ignored.
でも、本当の担当者の人には、私たちの熱意は伝わらないだろうね。
I do agree that it's probably about to be ignored, though.
北条聡子の友人5人が保護を求めて、本日夕方陳情あり。って程度には
保護士じゃなくて福祉士でしたっけ？その人に直接訴えることはできないんですか？
Doesn't seem like it. If you could, they probably
さ
would
あ
have
ね。
been allowed to, you know?
トラブルの多い職業らしいからね。直接の接触って難しいんじゃないの？紳士の対応をしているうちに何とかしないと大変なことになるなんて脅迫しに来る人がいるくらいなんだからさ。
I wonder who that was. According to Mio, there are lots of problematic clients who show up at the child consultation center. It's not a rare thing for them to get an aggressive visitor like Shion. But that's probably...
そういう相手に熱意を伝えるのって難しいね。
But unfortunately, visitors like Shion are probably a perfect example of why there has to be an intermediary and you can't directly talk to the social worker. Because imagine you're directly talking to the person who makes that decision, right? Probably get a lot more passionate on the matter.
熱意を感情的と履き違えれば履き違えるほど、向こうは冷めた対応をするんだろうから。
ミオは天下の園崎家次期当主として役所の人とはだいぶ話してて話術にも長けてるんだろ。俺なんかよりももっとうまく話せないのかよ。
お姉の話術じゃないです。お姉が園崎家のミヨンだから相手が平服してくれるだけです。今日の対応見ましたよね。
Yeah.
お姉が園崎だと名乗ったらあんな狭い部屋じゃなくてきっと応接室で所長が対応してくれてますよ。ね。
Mion gave a vague smile and didn't comment. And Mion's greatest weapon is her family name. Without that weapon, she's just as ordinary as the rest of us. Well, I don't think any of you guys are exactly ordinary. You are a very, very passionate bunch in a lot of ways. But, I mean, it's kind of true, like the point. It does make you wonder why exactly she's not playing up the name, right? Like, why she's not using her greatest weapon? I shouldn't be thinking about this, but if the Sonozaki oh wait, duh, because we kind of already talked about this, right? Like, because the Sonozaki family ultimately isn't going to put pressure on anyone to, like, save a Hojo. I shouldn't be thinking about this, but if the Sonozaki family forgave Satoko's family, it'd be really easy for them to save her.
やはり、園崎家は今でも北条家が嫌いなのですか？
Seems that way.
嫌いだって公言してる人はいないよ。でも根深いみたいだね。というかばあさんが北条嫌いの筆頭ですし、頭の中いつまでダム戦争やってるってんですか。
Maybe that's our best chance is to try to change Oreo's mind. I mean, good luck. But
死守同盟が解散して何年経ってるんです？
しーちゃんやめなよ。さとこちゃんはさとこちゃんだよ。私たちの大切な仲間。名字が何かなんて関係ないよ。
look, to us it doesn't matter, but to Oreo it does. Like, Shion went quiet and there was silence for a while. And Rena was right. Just like how Satoko's last name doesn't matter, it doesn't matter what Mion's last name is either. The important thing is that our friend is being abused, right now. We have to do everything we can to save her from that situation. We all looked up at the skies, we listened to the sound of cars passing by. We all felt hopeless. We had no idea what to do. Was what we did today going to help Satoko at all? It would have been better if they just kicked us out. That way we could have been angry with them. But after being treated politely like that, we had no choice but to back off and see what they were going to do. We were forced to just wait and see what happens. Everyone was trying to figure out what our next option was. I couldn't expect Chie-sensei to tell us that everything was taken care of at the Board of Education. That would be too good to be true.
次はどうしような。
I muttered to myself, hoping that someone would respond with a good idea, but the silence reminded me that everyone was just as stuck as me.
圭一。
Yeah,
リカちゃんか。
we do need to talk with Rika at some point. Like,
すまん。あれだけでかい口を叩いて、打つ手なしだ。
信じない。
as I looked at her, I realized that the expression on her face was stronger than ever. Maybe she's the one who's determined now. Did things flip?
昨日圭一がシオンに言った。今は思いつかないけどきっと最前提を思いつくから俺を信じろって言った。
Or is this Rika saying you're out of ideas? Is this Rika saying you're out of ideas, like you failed? Or is this Rika saying, like, I believe you, you'll find something still?
だから私は
Oh,
信じた。
shit. It's looking like the latter.
だから圭一の口から打つ手がないなんて悲しい言葉が漏れるなんて信じない。
I could see tears in her eyes. Rika-chan was so sure that I could do something about the
圭
situation.
一が言った運命なんて金魚すくいの網より薄く破ってやるって言った。
He dared to make her hope again.
私はそれを信じる。今でも信じてる。だってあなたは運命なんかやすやす打ち破ってくれる人なんだもの。だから助けて。この運命から里子助けて。
Dude. It's really, really, really hard to see Rika acting this way. A tear rolled down from the corner of her eye, but my heart was feeling the same way. Damn it, damn it, damn it! An innocent girl was becoming a prisoner of a tragic fate. She desperately needed help. It's two of them. That's what you don't realize. I told them that they could trust me. In other words, that they could count on me. That they could bet on me. Betting is not an easy thing. If I lost, they'd lose their coins too. What does it mean to trust someone? It's about making a bet on that person. It's about betting a coin. About betting hope. Trusting someone is tantamount to placing your hopes in them. I told Shion yesterday. I told her to trust me. I didn't say it just because. I knew that those words meant something very serious. But now, after betraying Rika-chan and seeing her tears, I finally realized just how serious it is. I look at Shion. She was in a rage again. Mion tried to calm her down, but she didn't have any ideas either. How about Rena? She's always very reliable in a situation like this. I expected to see her strength. However, Rena also looked depressed. We didn't even know if what we did was a meaningful thing. Rena looked down with a devastated expression on her face, and she couldn't come up with another option either. Damn it! I have to do something for them. Rena's blue fire will melt iron. Mion can be strong when the wind is in our favor. Shion is the same way. They'll move forward strongly when the wind is backing them up, but they grow weak when the wind is blowing against them. Despite the whole situation, Rika-chan still believes in us. She believes that we can do something if we all come together. That's honestly, I don't want to say it's the most depressing part, but it's tough to think about. The fact that she's, despite losing all of her hope, she's convinced the hope in everyone again, and it's... Right now, it's not looking like it's leading anywhere. And that very deeply hurt her, right? That Keiichi convinced her to have the faith again, to trust him. And it doesn't look like what his plan worked. And it doesn't look like he has anything moving forward. Fuck, man. That was hard, seeing Rika talk like that. She believes that we can do something if we all come together. That's right, we all agreed. We said to each other that we can make a miracle happen if we all work together. What am I? If Ren is the blue fire, I'm the red fire. I burn brightly and give strength to everyone. That's right. I'm Keiichi Maibara. I'm the magician of words. Okay. Getting his determination back. But he's got to have something. I have to motivate everyone. The blue fire won't light up unless the red fire does too. When the fire is lit, there will be wind. Mion and Chion will become stronger too.
ありがとうな。リカちゃんが火打ち石を叩いてくれた。そして俺という火が燃え上がってきたぜ。
ケイチ。
We can't give up now. Remember's the strongest club ever. Nothing can stop us when we get together.
この俺があの程度で凹むなんて情けないぜ。リカちゃんの言葉で目が覚めた。自分を信じろって言葉がどれだけ重いかってことを教えてもらったぜ。
Rika-chan knew our personalities well, and she figured out just who she should motivate first. Oh, I'm really starting to burn up.
おい、ミオ、いつまでしょぼくれてやがる。ここは怒り狂うところだぜ。おい。
Everyone looked at me with wide eyes as they turned at my powerful voice. They were both surprised by my sudden shout, and waiting in anticipation at the vigor of my call. More and more clearly I could see it. This was Keiichi Maibara's role in this club.
さっきの対応は客観的に見て、まずは空振りだな。多分レナの言うように、クラスメートが5人来て陳情って程度のメモ書きで終わっちまうんだろう。だからな、ああいう対応をしちまったら、俺たちの怒りに火がついちまうぜ。
確かに木で鼻をくくったような感じだったけど。
俺たちは貞子の緊急の危機を訴えてんだぞ。ここは戦うとこだぞ。こんな公園で仲良くしょぼくれてる場合じゃね
え。でもケイチ君、次に私たちは何をしたらいいんだろう。
へへへ、お前らまさかもうこの程度で晩作が尽きたとか思ってんじゃねえだろうな。
Again, the classic Keiichi speech.
お前らこれが部活なら全員ビリだぜ。
This is fun. I was feeling depressed too, but now I've got a burning passion in my heart. I felt like I was cheering myself up. Why was I being so sad? If I wanted to save Satoko, I had no time to rest. This was like the final seconds of the last round in a boxing match where we were at a disadvantage. If I stand here stupefied, I'll lose by indecision, so the only option is to press the attack. Was I supposed to give up just because I couldn't knock out the opponent with one punch? No. If I couldn't take him out in one, I'd have to throw 2 or 3 punches. I'd have to try until I could finally knock him out.
連打あるのみって、また明日も陳情に行こうってわけですか？
近いけどちょいと甘えな。
何を考えてるんだか知らないけど。
What is bro's plan?
なんだかおじさんも面白そうな気がしてきたよ。これで泣き寝入りなんて我がぶらしくもない。この程度の逆風、跳ね返してみせなきゃね。
Yes, Miona's getting her willpower back too.
そうだね。ケイチ君の言う通りだよ。
Alright.
いじけてた自分が恥ずかしい。戦おう。
でもケイちゃん、具体的にはどうしようってわけさ。
みんなもちょいと思い出してみな。あの相談員は俺たちに宣戦布告をしてくれやがったわけだが、ご丁寧にも次の手も教えてくれてたわけさ。多分意識しなかったんだろうけどな。墓穴を掘ってくれたもんだぜ。しかもそいつはどうやら俺の最も得意とする戦術になりそうだぜ。
Oh, That's where we're gonna leave it. Are we? We are. Okay. Well, let's see what these say. I mean, what exactly does Keiichi mean? Like, what was the hint, per se, you know? I'm not 100% sure, but let's go ahead and see these for now. No. Dude, this right here was so hard to see. Before this goes away, I just gotta say, this scene with Rika, fuck, man.
圭一、信じない。昨日、圭一がシオンに言った。今は思いつかないけど、きっと最前提を思いつくから、俺を信じろって言った。だから私は、信じた。だから、圭一の口から、打つ手がないなんて、悲しい言葉が漏れるなんて、信じない。圭一が言った運命なんて、金魚すくいの網より薄く破ってやるって言った。私はそれを信じる。今でも信じてる。だって、あなたは運命なんか、やすやす打ち破ってくれる人なんだもの。だから、この運命から、聡子、助けて。
Like, that voice acting is stellar. Like, that shit hurt, man. Honestly, that sequence of lines might be... I think that's probably the closest this game has had me to crying. I can't lie. That was just such a tough sequence, seeing Rika, right, like, talk like that, right? Like, you gave me hope, and now you're telling me you're out of ideas, and you're done, right? Like, I won't believe that. I refuse to believe that, right? Like, you know, and then, like, a call to action, like, please, Keiichi, like, you said you could defeat fate. You said it was as fragile as this thin piece of paper. So you need to keep helping, right? And that motivated Keiichi, which is a good thing, right? And it might have been her intention. She might have genuinely just not really known what else to do, right? But either way, it worked. Let's go ahead and read these tips, and we'll talk about this more later. God, that was so good. No. Date. Oh, was that not, like, supposed to be number? Date. Year. Subject, about Satoko Hojo-san. Visitor, Keiichi Maibara and 4 other friends. They're requesting prosecution for Satoko Hojo-san to save her from being abused by her uncle. Already being dealt with, question mark? I'm cleaning out the refrigerator, so please remove your personal belongings by this evening. That's it? Oh yeah, you're gonna piss me off. Oh my goodness. That's insane. Alright. No, that's ridiculous. That tip being so short really is insulting. Didn't even throw a number, didn't even throw a date, didn't even throw in a year, just about Satoko Hojo, visitor, Keiichi Maibara and 4 friends. Help they said to help Satoko, please, to save her from her uncle. I think you're dealing with this already. By the way, can you clean out the fridge? Like, get your shit, because I'm cleaning out the fridge. I mean, that's insulting, man. Teppei suspected that Satoko was hiding more money somewhere. But in reality, she had none at all. Teppei had asked her how she had survived until now, but she told him that she didn't have to use any money because she was living with her friend. Teppei had made some money off of illegal gambling. While he had some of that money saved up, he had no intention to use it on living expenses. However, there was no way Satoko didn't have the money. Teppei was convinced of that. Teppei's wife, Satoko's aunt, must have taken away the family bank book when Satoko's parents died in the accident. Yeah. But her aunt also died last year, and Satoshi is gone too. I mean, Satoko should have hidden the bank book somewhere. However, no matter how much he threatened her, she told him that she didn't know anything about it. He continued to question Satoko, still believing that she was hiding it somewhere. He couldn't beat her because her teacher in the child consultation center would suspect him. So he wouldn't beat her. and said he spoke to her in a loud and violent voice and broke furniture in front of her. Threatening people like that is Teppei's forte. However, Satoko continued to claim that she had no clue about the bank book. She didn't seem to be lying. After destroying the whole living room, leaving Satoko frightened like a scared little animal, Teppei finally believed that Satoko had no idea where the bank book was. In that case, where could it be? Teppei had two ideas. One idea was that his wife hid it somewhere in secret. The other idea was that Satoshi took it after his wife's death and hid it somewhere else. Either way, he was certain that it was hidden somewhere in this house. He told Satoko to clean up the mess he made in the living room and started searching around the house. Teppei was starting to get bored with Satoko. He had heard that Satoko's parents had a lot of money saved up, but his wife had taken control of that money herself. Since his wife had been quite thrifty, he was sure that she left the bank book somewhere without using it. Once he got his hands on that money, he could move somewhere else entirely. Teppei was still acquainted with a few people from the gambling spot in Gogura. People he used to help out are still hanging around that area. They still owe him. They should at least let him crash there. It was great that Satoko takes care of all the chores around the house, but Teppei felt uncomfortable about being watched by both the school and the consultation center. Teppei, all too aware that he's a man of violence, couldn't stand living with Satoko without being violent towards her. The more he suffered, the stronger his urge to beat up Satoko grew. Since Teppei only knew joy through forcing others who resisted to submit, testing to see how violent he could be before the helpless Satoko resisted him was something he was excited to try eventually. Still upset over the visitation by the school teacher, Teppei promised himself that he would destroy Satoko's life before leaving the village. Okay, bro. He's so mad that he can't beat her that he's like, I'm gonna destroy her life and then leave. Like, Jesus Christ, man. Right now he's just trying to find the bank book and then leave. Shit, the simplest solution might be to just give him the money and get him to skedaddle. But the problem is he would probably find a way before leaving to ruin Satoko's life. We know that, right? God, these tips paint a grim picture, right? Real grim, right? Like, they're not taking this serious. We can see that, like the Child Consultation Center, they're not taking this shit any more serious, right? With the appeal, like that didn't do anything, right? And then Teppei is just looking for the money, and he wants to leave. But he wants to ruin Satoko's life before doing so. He's pissed that he can't beat her up, right? Because he's being watched because of the visit, right? So he wants to ruin her life, and it's like, Jesus Christ. Either way, this paints a terrible picture for what's going to happen with Satoko, and we're going to need to, frankly, we're going to have to clutch up somehow. There's no really other way to put it. Okay, so I mean, let's talk a bit about the chapter. I mean, this was another good sub-chapter. Again, we're not getting, like, the actual biggest plot events ever. This wasn't, like, holy shit, I will be rewatching my reactions to several scenes in this episode type of episode, you know? But there was some interesting stuff going on that I think is important, right? So, first of all is the very beginning of the episode. We get the call, or rather the beginning of the chapter, but also the episode, but, you know, whatever. Beginning of the chapter, we get the call about the fact that they basically decided to wait and see, right, from Mion. And Keiichi kind of loses his cool at first, but he reins himself back in. He apologizes for losing his cool on Mion, which, I mean, is a real sign of growth, and, you know, you gotta appreciate that. That he recognizes that it's not like Mion is the one who's making these decisions or wants things to play out this way. But for now, that's how they're going, and even though he loses his cool, he realizes he apologizes, and you know, tries to make a mental note not to do that again. She calls Rika, Keiichi calls Rena, and they kind of have the same conversation about, you know, keeping the determination, like they're gonna move forward. They briefly go over what happened, but Rena kind of guessed it all already, because I think everyone knew what was going to happen, right? And so, I mean, they talk about their determination to move forward, and they kind of realize that they're both important to each other, right? Keiichi gives Rena confidence, where Rena gives Keiichi the calmness that they need, and so they kind of work really well together. And I mean, I love that about them, right? Like, the way that relationship works out, right? They both kind of feed off each other's energy, right? And and it balances out in a really powerful way. And I mean, we've kind of seen that before, like kind of in chapter 2, right? We saw that without both of them and without like Keiichi getting Rena's help, things wouldn't have worked out like they did, right? Without Keiichi appealing to Rena in 6, Rena wouldn't have, like, she wouldn't have returned to normal, right? She never would have regained the confidence to keep living her life in the first place, which, I mean, eventually things didn't really work out because of the scrapbook and everything, but the junkyard scene never would have happened without Keiichi, right? And so they really are there for each other. So, I mean, like, and I thought that was a really nice phone call for that exact reason, seeing how that progressed. After that, he talks to his parents, which was kind of fascinating, right? Like, I don't know. They gave him the idea to submit an appeal, and which is a good idea, but I mean, ultimately we know that it doesn't really seem to have done much. And unless like Keiichi's mom is secretly a social worker on the case, then I don't think it's gonna do much. But I mean, I think the fact that he's going to his parents for advice really is showing how much he's grown a lot. Because of the events that he's seen from other worlds, and he's very clearly remembering them. I mean, he remembers. Thank God, who could forget the Satoko scene, like of her breaking in chapter 3 and begging for her Nini, and the fact that he never even heard that that's what she calls her brother is the really obvious indicator that he's remembering this from another world, and it isn't just like a really good prediction, which was obvious to us, right? Really obvious. But I think even Rena realizes, like, you shouldn't, like, there's no way you should know that, right? Who told you that? Like, he's like, I guess someone must have. I don't know, right? But he's remembering everything vividly, and so I hopefully eventually he talks to Rika about that. Maybe it'll help things out a little bit. But he goes to the school, and I mean, we see. He tells everyone that they need to make this appeal, and he kind of has to reel everyone in. He has to, like, they got to calm Shion down a little bit because she's not very happy. Rika, like, they kind of all get this like they make this decision to go make the appeal, and Rika is like, it's pointless. Like, I've lived this life before. This world's like, you guys can't do anything to save her. This world's not gonna last for long, anyways. But then Keiichi kind of talks, and, you know, he kind of accidentally hypes her back up, talking about, like, you know, destiny is as frail as a thin sheet of paper, which, you know, real rich to Rika, who's lived this and realized, like, seeing how she, like, can't really fight destiny, and he's like, it's so frail, like, we can change it, right? But in a way, Rika can't help but be entranced by Keiichi's words fairly regularly, right, is what I'm realizing, right? It's pretty obvious, and she basically says it herself, like, you know, she's lived 100 years, but with Keiichi around, she's never bored, like, you know, because he's such a good speaker, that it continues to motivate her in these different ways, and so Keiichi being this motivated motivates Rika to at least go, right, to at least go, and so they go, and, I mean, they talk to the worker, like the receptionist at least, who's going to bring the complaints to the worker, and it ultimately doesn't really feel like they're being heard in that moment, right? Basically, their response to everything is like, yeah, we're working on it. Like, because of privacy reasons, we can't say anything. We're working on it. We're working on it. Like, it's gonna take a while. Like, you know, the court, right? Like, has to get involved, right? Like, they're all like, I don't know how else to put this, but almost. Political isn't the word, but like playing politics, right? Like answers that are playing politics, right? Like, you know, trying not to blatantly piss them off, but they can't really say anything definitive, right? Like, they can't be like, yes, we will work on this. Hey, here's information you can't know, right? You know? So, I guess to a degree, I'm frustrated with the worker for not, like, taking their pleas more seriously and leaving a better note, but, like, I don't know. So obviously it's very frustrating. Like, I don't really know what my point is there. Is like, I guess to a degree I get it. Like, you know, like what can you say to them? But they should feel slighted, right? Like, they should feel like their voices weren't heard because they weren't, right? and they leave and they're feeling down because of this. Like they realize their voices weren't heard. This isn't going to do anything, right? None of them think they accomplished anything. And so, like, they kind of start to lose. They all start to lose hope, and Keiichi even is like, "So what do we do now?" And that's when Rika like starts with the scene that I already mentioned, right? Like, that was so amazing with like Keiichi. You can't be giving up hope after you were the one who said fate was this thin, right, and so fragile, and you're the one giving up hope. Like I can't accept that, right? Like, you know, and it really was it was just fantastic. Yeah, I don't. Okay, it's still just barely in here. Like, no, not really. It's actually just barely out of here, unfortunately. It's such a fantastic, like, fantastic scene. She really lights that fire back. And it feels like she was losing hope, and she felt briefly betrayed, right, by, like, Keiichi, like, being like, I'm out of ideas. And she was like, you are the one who convinced me to keep fighting. By talking about how, like, by talking all big, right? And now you can't come out here and say, I'm out of ideas, right? And Keiichi's like, you know what? She's right. Like, I do have to keep fighting. I can't let this get me down. And he says, basically, that part of what he says is like, if Rena is the blue fire, he needs to be the red fire. The blue fire can't ignite. The calm and collected fire can't ignite without the anger, right? You know, without the blaze, right? You know, you can't really get that concentrated fire. You got to have the big one first. And so, you know what? He's going to be the big fire that gets everyone motivated and, well, fired up. And so that's the role he takes, right? Whether that was Rika's intention or not, right? It very well might have been to keep him motivated, right? I think it probably was, but it was probably like a desperation plea, right? Like, which, I mean, makes sense given her last line was essentially like, please help Satoko from, like, escape this fate, right? Like, truth be told, like, I don't know. Like, I obviously think Rika wants to survive, but I almost think Satoko living a safe life is more important to her, right? Like honestly, right? Like, I think it's just as important, if not more important to her, that Satoko gets this safe, happy life. We've seen how she feels about Satoko, and like Satoko seems like her rock in a lot of ways, right? And so seeing Satoko like this, I don't think it's a coincidence that this is the route that's like the most devastating to her, you know? Like, from what we've seen, the one that really breaks her. And so she's like you have to help, like desperately, like desperate pleas. And like I said, they reach Keiichi and he kind of starts to motivate everyone again. And right at the end, he hints at this idea that the receptionist didn't even mean to, but they gave a hint about how to save Satoko. My best guess is the receptionist talking about this whole idea of like, we can't do anything unless there is an urgent situation, and then we can take in Satoko, right? And that's my guess, is he... I don't know, like I said, I don't necessarily want to envision him pulling off the Chapter 1 Oishi, but, like, what choice does he have but to, like, get Satoko in an, like, urgent situation, or prove that there was an urgent situation already, right? Prove that this is an urgent situation. Like, I'd like to think he's not gonna, like, bait... it's like Satoko into getting beat or something. Like, I would hope that's not the route we're going. But, like, I don't know. Maybe it is. I'd like to think he's gonna somehow prove that Teppei's, like, violent and that this isn't a safe place to live, you know? But I think that's the route we're gonna go. And I mean, given everything that's happened, that's, I think, probably the smartest remaining plan, right? If you're looking for a relatively reasonable plan that doesn't doom everyone's future, mind you, this is called the slaughter route. I do still think everyone's future in this route is doomed, but again, that's not the point. That's kind of meta knowledge, right? From their perspective, it is probably the most reasonable thing to do. So I think it's the right choice, if that's what they decide to do, is try to prove Teppei is violent. Maybe he's gonna have Teppei beat him somehow. Maybe he's gonna go in and piss Teppei off, right, and prove that Teppei is not a safe person to live with, right? I don't know. Like, maybe that's the route we go here, right? So either way, though, even if my idea as to what Keiichi's plan is wrong, Keiichi has a plan, right, about what they can do to potentially get Satoko out of the situation. He's firing everyone up, and I'm sure next episode we're gonna get to see that plan. I'm really looking forward to seeing exactly what he's got up his sleeve, you know, seeing what he can do in the situation given. I hope whatever he does works out ultimately, of course. But we're gonna have to wait and see. Oh, what a terrible turn of phrase. God damn it. We're gonna have to wait and see. That sucks. I didn't mean to do that. So I hope you all enjoyed this episode. Like I said, I know I did. Besides the Rika scene, there wasn't anything like I think that we're gonna go back to and be like, wow, that was like a super big like thing, right? Like, but like, you know, I think this was an important one to establish things, is that they're continuing to try peacefully, right? They're continuing to band together to try to figure this out. I think that's a big deal, right? Still, right? And we saw bits and pieces of important information, such as the fact that Keiichi's clearly remembering things again. Seems like Rena remembers things potentially, right? And this could all lead into something relevant. And so this was mostly a setup episode, I think. But I think it was a very important one. It was still a good episode, and I enjoyed it. So I hope you did as well. I know I did. I don't know exactly when the next episode will come out. Hopefully it'll be soon, but whenever that does come out, I hope to see all of you guys there. But until then, peace.